I don't want to.
Okay. You don't want to turn off the video. Just hit stop cam. See stop cam on the bottom?
Yeah.
Just hit stop cam.
Okay.
Okay, we're live. Hi, we're live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today, I have a very special guest, somebody who I've been on his show. Many of my old shows with him are on my William Ramsey Investigates. His name is Vyzygoth, and I put up some of his shows. I was able to access his archive of 600 shows. I think he has 1,000 total, so it's not a comprehensive archive, but you can see them on any podcast distributor at the Vyzygoth Archives. So I have it in 4 volumes. The 4th volume I will put up today, and I broke them down into about 150 show segments. So there's 4 volumes, like I said. So the 150, the intent is to make it easier to scroll through them if you're interested. I mean, so many great guests and so many amazing people. Dave McGowan, Charlotte Iserbite, really Jim Mars, Alan Watt, who recently passed away. You've got stuff on Columbine, Terry Mallinson, Chris Knowles, who I just interviewed. So a lot of those people you can go back and look on that. And I've tried to I'm going to put maybe 10 to 15 of those shows on William Ramsey Investigates. So you might be able to check some of those out, some of what I considered really important shows. But I reached out to Keith, and he was up for doing a show today. We're probably going to go about 40 minutes, but he wanted to talk about sports as social engineering. And I have something on YouTube that shows like a quote from Juvenal: "Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt." And I think a lot of that entertainment, at least sports entertainment, that's a component of it, is trying to kind of keep people distracted. So Vyzygoth, welcome back to William Ramsey Investigates. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks, William. I've been watching a little more TV than I usually did. And something just struck me. It isn't a big aha, perhaps, but because because professional sports, especially, to include collegiate, have become entertainment. Entertainment is always big bucks for the media moguls. So I just found that through the years that I've been watching, a term been taken, and one I think that's a little bit dark. But I go back to, the change is not necessarily bad. It's whether or not it's doable. For instance, I remember John Carlos and Tommy Smith were sprinters for the United States in this, I believe, in the '66 medal games. And they took the podium. One took first, one took second. But they put black gloves on their hands, and they raised their fists, toward the sky.
Right. There's a famous picture of them around, right?
Yeah, there is. And I looked at that, and I've changed a lot about my thoughts about patriotism and nationalism and such, and freedoms of expression and venues where you can exchange those ideas. But when I first saw it, I said, well, that sucks, because Vietnam was going on, and I thought that was wholly un-American. But that sprang off a great deal of there were riots, there's no doubt about it, but there was a lot of discussion as well, and there was a polarization that took place without a doubt, and that was between black athletes and white athletes, and through the years that's kind of softened. Things are forgotten rather. People are apt to get real ginned up about it, and then kind of don't do anything. They start raising families, and that's a different thing. Right. But the next one that struck me was Kaepernick and his taking a kneel during the American, the Pledge of America.
Right.
the American, what is it? I was going to say Pledge of Allegiance, but it's the American, flag, whatever. Sorry for that. But and I looked at that and I was like, okay, what is that about? And I didn't even know he was black, to be honest with you. He's kind of light skinned, though. He's got heck of an afro. But I thought about that and I said, well, what's the problem? And first it was racial minority. Um, and then it kind of started to widen out and widen out. I don't even know if he was responsible for it. But it was almost like I got the feeling that no black perps deserve being shot, and every white cop who shot a black perp suspect was racist. Now, there's a lot of cases where there were. There's no doubt about that. But the way the media kind of went with it, it was looking like it was only white bad guys who were cops and black people who were misunderstood or handled more severely than they should have been.
Right.
But the song, I always wondered why it was even involved in athletics. And I'm not taking a backseat out, but it's like I was always thinking, like when I was growing up and they wanted to play, what is it? I can't think of the name of the song. It's driving me nuts. What do they call a national anthem? There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Got that unblocked. When we were playing like first day of Little League or first day of anything or first day of high school or a tournament or something like that, we'd play the national anthem. And then that's the last you heard of it. And I remember thinking one time we were playing a semi-pro game in 75 and it was a gorgeous day. And I was playing center field and the flagpole was in center. And the flag was blowing, like it does on TV. And I said to myself, how fortunate I am to be here when it's only a twist of fate in the sense that I'm not in Vietnam at that moment. Now, Vietnam was winding down, but it wasn't over. But outside that, I mean, I really don't really understand why they do it. I mean, what are they saying? It's like, is the national anthem the reason why we have baseball and football and sports? I mean, is that responsible for it? I really don't see the need for it. But so when he took the knee, I was kind of like, well, I don't say the pledge either because the Lord says, "Take an oath to no one," and I don't sing the national anthem. So it doesn't bother me as much, but I think, I'm at least respectful enough that I would not take a knee. I just stand there silently, but I get it. But what happened with him and that whole scenario, I was trying to say, what are you saying? Is this all about racism or I don't get it. It's almost like it was run away with by all kinds of causes. So, as I look at that, I'm saying to myself, it's kind of interesting that we're supposed to be about freedom and such. And then when you have disagreement, you have unrest, you have fascism. And that's what we're supposed to be about. And I mean, even with those riots, I mean, did you see anything strange about the riots they had with the brick throwing?
There was a lot of the whole riots were strange. What they rioted about was strange. The impression that this guy was murdered. He was super stoned, and I think I saw pictures of him like with drugs in his mouth. Right. So I think the riots were very strange. They certainly didn't benefit the people they were supposed to benefit, in my opinion. Maybe they benefited BLM, but I think the lower classes or whatever, the mom and pop shop owners pretty much got wiped out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never saw anything like that, and I really didn't believe when the people were
George
first
Floyd.
telling. Well, I mean that you saw pretty graphically, um, and that was, I believe, that was excessive. Now, yeah, okay, he had a record, that's true, but he was trying to turn his life around, and now you hear that the bill he tried to pay uh, the cashier with was not, in fact, a
Counterfeit.
counterfeit. Yeah, and now you get a situation that really needs some explaining. But otherwise, other than that, it's like there's all these signs now, and in the NFL, you can put certain logos on the back of your shirt or in the end zones, and it's, we are change, Black Lives Matter, and I'm not trying to make it a white black thing. It's just that sports, especially, has taken on a political edge, much more
Right.
military supported, and I don't think that's coincidence at all. But I do think that what it does uh, unleash is kind of a nasty side of um, of, of conduct among groups, and it's fascist in sense. And I was all red, white, and blue until things started to happen that I didn't understand, and really nobody could explain it to me. I mean, something as simple when you were younger, and I don't know if I said this to you the last time I was on, about, you see, you're getting taught like civics or American history, and you see, you hear about these um, what are those that are lobbying? Yeah, they're
Right. The
lobbying.
lobbyists.
Yeah. So I'm saying to myself, that's bribery. They're paying,
Right.
you know. And I said to my teacher, it's like, why is that allowed? Any place else that would be bribery. And you get the like, well, you have to understand, right? So you keep on going, and then that whole thing about voting was like a joke. Why do we still have the? I'm having a really good day. Why do we have rep, rep, help me out here?
Representative government representation. Uh,
No, it's the ones who make up
Laws. The legislature.
uh,
Legislators.
uh, the uh, the electoral college.
Right.
Okay, so here we had the electoral college from the very beginning, and we're told that's because while people were uneducated back then, and they were separated from voting places, and strewn all over the country, and it was difficult for them to get their vote in, but they never left. And so I'm saying to myself, we're told that we vote for the president, but we really don't, because if the
We don't.
electorate, no, because if the electorate goes the other way, um, then your vote didn't go, didn't count toward to whom you voted. So, and I mean, we had a situation like that. If I don't know if you remember the Rutherford B. Hayes situation,
There
and you
vaguely. Can you remind me what happened with Rutherford B. Hayes?
Hayes and Tilden were running in 1876. Now, supposedly Tilden won straight out, and all of a sudden there was all this machinations going on behind closed doors, and this is going to sound really familiar. They sent three contingents. The federal government sent three contingents to three states to do a ballot count. One was Louisiana, one was Florida, and I believe the other one was South Carolina. And they have been the three that were also the states involved in 1980. So what happened was John Garfield, who would succeed Hayes as president in only 4 years, was sent down to Louisiana and found that the vote was for Hayes. Now, what also was happening is that the South, which was just accepted back as peaceable states in the Union, all of a sudden started getting a little bit aroused. And the federal government was so concerned that they were preparing for a second civil war. So that was the sentiment at that time. Of course, that didn't happen. But then you take a look at 1980, when they pulled the chicanery in Florida, and then did it again in 1984 in Ohio, all around electoral college, because they take the states that they need, the most amount of votes for. So it's just a question of and even this, I don't know, even this last one, somebody told me a story. You remember Victor Thorne?
Yeah. I was looking through his stuff. I actually was looking at emails I sent him back in 2010. So
Yeah.
I do remember him.
Yeah, Thorne had told me. He said that he was out in LA visiting a friend. And at this party was Obama. And his friend told him that's going to be the next president or whatever. He's going to be a president. And Thorne looks at him like, because remember now, a black had never been in the president's office. And Thorne was like, "What do you say that?" He goes, "Because, I mean, he's gone to school where he's supposed to have gone to school. He says all the right things, and he says he's got the confidence that says that he will run and will win the presidency." And sure enough, he did. So, I mean, I believe that story's true. Thorne didn't really engage in crap like that, if it weren't the real thing. And then I started to realize, for the most part, the presidents are selected,
Right.
not elected. I mean, it's already taken care of. And they keep this Republican Democrat animosity going just to deepen the situation and keep America more in a divide. And and that also goes back to what I was saying to you about this division and this fascism. You're supposed to have freedom of speech, but when you really exercise it, you don't, especially if it's unpopular.
Right.
Now, somebody said that, well, the pro athletes have a right to exercise their freedom of speech. And my point was, fine, but there's a place for it. And to me, it wasn't athletics. I mean, I watch athletics to get away from all that stuff. And after that situation, it's never really left. And to me, I can live without the sports, but it certainly has changed them, I believe, and opened them up to other outside influences that I don't really think belong in the game. So,
Right. Were sports always this political? Is really the question. And my answer is no. Certainly not in the NFL.
no, I would say no. Baseball got a little politicized, but it was more about if you can divide these two, and that was contracts. Andy Messersmith and Clint Flood, Kirk Flood. Flood, St. Louis outfielder, Messersmith, at that time a Dodger pitcher. They both challenged the league, and they won. And that opened up free agency, is why you have it today. And I don't know if you remember, there was a former pitcher for the Yankees who was an author and a sportscaster. His name is Jim Bouton. Bouton died a couple of years ago. Are you familiar with him at all?
No, that name doesn't sound familiar at all.
Well, he was bathed in infamy for writing a kiss and tell book about the Yankees, book called Ball Four, painting Mickey Mantle not so much as Jack Armstrong and the Beaver Patrols. I think you can read between lines there underneath the stands. So anyway, Bouton was always pressing it, and he left the major leagues. He wrote another couple of books. He went back to the major leagues. And then when he came back the last time, when he really retired after playing for the Atlanta Braves, I wound up playing with him in a semi-pro league in Jersey. And I had complained to him about how I thought it was really shoddy the way that the Detroit Tigers treated Norm Cash, who was a longtime player for them, and they had released him. And he said to him, listen, Norm Cash knows when it's over. It's a matter of business. And that's all it is in the end. You know, a lot of us, when we were young, and some of us even now, play it as a sport, and that's fine. You know, the sport being picking up ground balls, you know, throwing strikes, hitting home runs. But it's a business outside of that. And I think you can see that expressly in this era with sabermetrics and such, and the way that they move around players. But he also said something to me too, because I said, you know, isn't that a little too much money though that they're getting paid? And on the same token, Bounce said to me, he goes, listen, he goes, the owners have it. If the owners didn't have it, they wouldn't pay it. And so you saw just recently a strike averted, and probably the one that came down closest to closing the game down, which hasn't been for like about 16 years or so. So the thing is, it's again, baseball got in the end not more politicized, but certainly more business centered. Although the other
Right.
sports are doing it too. Basketball has had its moments. They had a famous fix with Connie Hawkins, who continued with an admirable life. I mean, he was a college player. He took money, shaved points, and was caught. But you know, there's a situation with some political repercussions. Hockey, not really. You know, I mean, it's been pretty free of that kind of thing, and I would say, well, that covers them all. But football, I mean, there is more. Basketball's got a little more social conscious too.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
It's kind of like the woke, you know, influence is much more so in sports than before, in general.
yeah, and the thing is, to protest is fine, but you have to. I wouldn't want a surgeon working on me to go into some screed about some political, you know, um,
Right.
problem that he has. I really wouldn't want that. It's the same thing. It's like, look, they can have their say, but there's platforms for them to do it. I mean,
Right.
they can be on TV and
They can
talk.
get their own website. Yeah, they can do whatever.
So I mean, I wish you were out. I mean, you've come to live with it, but it's kind of dampened it a little bit because it gets disruptive at times. So I
Oh, no
mean,
doubt.
and there's another thing too. I don't know. Do you want to say something? Well,
No, I was just going to say I find it interesting that Kaepernick started becoming an activist as his career cratered, right?
well,
So,
it's true that he had his best years. I think he had two losing seasons after his last winning season, and I think he only had one double win season. And so the last three were falling off. And he got caught too with changing coaches and such. And so it was, you know, kind of disruptive for him when you find out you don't fit in. But he also wasn't performing at the best. And then all of a sudden, yeah, he's down on one knee and life sucks. So that is true. But you know, is there collusion against him? Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, these owners are not going to want to deal with somebody who's going to be a lightning rod for any kind of
right,
controversy.
right.
So, you know, and so in a way, I understand how they feel, but you know, Kaepernick's right. Even though he didn't have that great a season going out, that didn't mean he was necessarily through. And then you know, they put on a certain exhibition where scouts from all the teams could go down and watch him. And for the most part, the sports wags felt that was pretty much just a show, just like what we're going through with the black coaches, minority coaches in the NFL being head coaches. They had the Rooney Rule, which was you have to interview a black or two or something like that, and so it is, and it's all it's all just for show. So there's something going on there as well. But again, uh, sports is not like it used to be, and it certainly is um, a force that can really exacerbate things. Um, Players do a lot of good things. There's no two ways about it, but also, stuff comes out in sports which didn't come out before.
Think about, well, look at all the transgenderism stuff. Like, that's just crazy. I mean, to me, that's crazy because those men, they're men competing against women. It's super political. And
Yeah.
those men, like, I think 90% of those so-called trans men, they still have they have their genitalia. So they're just really just saying they're women. They're not actually, they haven't actually had surgery. Can you believe that? They're
Yeah,
competing. They're letting them compete.
yeah, I do now. I mean, anything goes. I don't even know if if you'll excuse the pun, they'll have a league of their own. But yeah,
They
it's a
should.
little, yeah. Uh, but I just wanted to mention one thing too, as far as something I think went a long way to turning Americans a little bit fascist, and that is the reaction to COVID. You know, it, I didn't get a vaccination, I didn't get COVID, but I almost got the feeling, even in places where people weren't wearing masks, I would wear it just so I didn't have to hear about it. And I'm doing it to this day. A lot of microbiologists say it was baloney, that the masks are not going to give you any protection. That more or less what they were was kind of a symbol of, you could even call it I don't know, captivity or tyranny.
Right. Like, if you put it on, you're being tyrannized or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I I was the I was the last one of a group of men that I used to consort with, and I didn't get it. And I was telling them about the shots, and they should at least look into it. But that national um, patriotism sort of, and what I mean by that is that they believed everything they were told in school. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Right. Right.
So if I would start talking some revisionist history to them, I mean, they would take it because they were decent guys, but I could see how it wasn't going down so well.
Do you know anybody who got vaccine injured?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Just one or multiple?
No, it was about three.
Three. Oh, three people. Well, that's in your circle. That's actually quite a few.
Well, no, they weren't in the circle. One was
Okay.
yeah, one was like my brother-in-law's sister, daughter, and it was spread out. One was in Michigan, two in Pennsylvania. But what was interesting about all this, now they politicize that whole thing with athletes getting vaccinated. But although only a few didn't, I mean, for the last couple of months, these tickers at the bottom of like ESPN and stuff like that, there's not a day that goes by. It's getting a little less now, where somebody fully vaccinated got it. All right. So, and then they say, well, it isn't as severe. And and these guys were like, it was. So, I mean, the reason I didn't take the jab is because I feared the jab more than COVID.
Yeah, me too. I didn't take the jab.
But then again, that created a whole split also when people getting a little hot about somebody not doing it, saying, where's your patriotism and blah, blah, blah.
But that's also a big thing in sports. The jab or not to jab in sports was an issue in the NBA, tennis.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it is the proximity in which a group of people may be, because one of the people I was telling you about that came down with COVID um, was not vaccinated. She was at a party, about 22 people, and one had COVID, um, was fully vaccinated, got COVID, and all the others got COVID as well. So it isn't as efficacious as they make it seem to be, and that's mainly because it's a great money maker, and it'll be
Yeah,
back.
oh, they're gonna boost people till the end of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the intent. Oh, you need another boost. They'll pay
Well,
off Congress and then boost people. Yeah.
I was listening to somebody, an author on the internet. Um, he was a veterinarian, and I forget what his shtick was, but uh, as an aside, he goes, "There's nothing I'd say is because I caution veterinarians for how many vaccines they um, ex, um, inject in a certain animal in a certain period of time." And that's what I was always thinking about when I saw these the first COVID vaccine come out, then the second and the third and a booster or whatever, and was there a fourth now or something? And it's
I think
like,
they're gunning for 4.
and then they want you to get flu and shingles. It's like, how much can a body take when you inject it with that much material? And of course, the older you get, I mean, it's even more frightening. So, um, but this also becomes one of these things about being a good American, and it's like, yeah,
Right.
right. Well, I mean,
Right.
Orwell wrote a treatise on the difference between patriotism and nationalism. Would nationalism be more associated with Nazism, and patriotism is like kind of like a good fascism? But they both belong with believing that your country's right in everything, and not giving any thought that there might be something wrong in this situation and saying something about it. And in the old days, you thought you could vote the problem out, but you find out that you really can't, because it's all. I mean, even if there isn't um, a selected individual, say you're talking about legislation or something like that, it's like everything's so rigged. There's no way you can vote anybody good or anything good into government. They're going to do what they're going to do, and COVID-19 to me was the greatest example of government rolling over um,
Right.
for billionaires to make more billions. And
No doubt. No doubt. Do you know that Gates is totally tied in with Fauci, and that he's invested in all these drugs and stuff like
yeah,
remdesivir? So them pushing remdesivir in hospitals, it's basically making Gates money. It's sick.
oh, absolutely. Um, Without going on and on about this, but there was a woman, retired military sergeant, who lived in Florida, and I still think she's still on YouTube, and she was given an interview from New York, and she took some clandestine conversations down between doctors and stuff while in the hospital, and even on her own conversations with doctors and nurses. But the thing, what she came down with is she goes, they're killing people. She says
Yeah.
they're putting them on these, uh, what's what's the ones that,
The breathing tube or whatever, the ventilator.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're putting them on vents and they're killing them.
Yeah.
And in other places they were saying in smaller hospitals that weren't public, they were curing people with large doses of vitamin C, I believe D, and one other element. I forget what it was, and they were recovering. They had no problem. They didn't use events. Oh, that you know what it is was hydroxy.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, it was that was the third one, and to hospital, doctors said, yeah, we had no problems, but the nurse goes to find that the reason why coma wouldn't allow hydroxy, what is it again?
Chloroquine, yeah. Hydroxychloroquine.
All right, wouldn't let hydroxychloroquine to be used is because he paid for 30,000 vents and they were damn well going to use them. Right. So she even said there came a time everybody who came into the hospital, everybody who came in and was treated for anything was considered COVID.
Right. So they consider, and I think they got a financial incentive from the government to put people on there. It's so sick. Mm-hmm. It's so sick. I know 2 people who died from remdesivir as well. Well, I don't. That's it was Alex Stein's mother, and then it was another guest who I had. His brother died.
Jeez. I just got an email. I'll pass along to you because I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing. It's from Liam, who I used to have as a frequent guest. We used to call Liam.
I remember Liam, yeah.
Our man from Europe. And he had an article that said why the effects of COVID mirrors snake venom.
I've heard that.
Yeah, from Wuhan especially. But anyway, it's yeah.
The effects of it are epithelial. It does something to your vein system. It's definitely, in my opinion, a bioweapon. Yeah. It's like an enhanced SARS thing, but it does something it's not necessarily like a respiratory thing. It's mislabeled as a respiratory, when in actuality, it does something after it leaves your body. It does something to your circulatory system that needs to be treated, and they don't treat it properly. Well, so it emulates not getting oxygen. Yeah.
Well, think back, because I thought about this so many times and told people about it, and gave them links to the story online, a short story by Asimov called The Winnowing. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, you talked about that before. I remember that.
Yeah, it was that these suits came up to the doctor, who was, I guess, an immunologist, and said they'd like some kind of poison that could be spread throughout the public, but not be seen as a deliberate spread, as if it were like a hit and miss pandemic. And in this, what he had to do is alter the lipo genes, I think it was, in people. And what happened is some would survive, some would get sick and survive, and some would die. And so it was going to be made to look like it was like a grain plague, like a wheat plague or something like that. But when I looked at this COVID thing, I'm saying to myself, I'm not saying Asimov knew about it, but he might have had an inkling, just like the access that Philip K. Dick had,
right?
Which showed him Blade Runner and all that. I mean, did they guess right in their futuristic work, or did they know it was coming?
Good question. Really good question. I think they certainly guessed right. They may not have been of the generation where it happened, but they anticipated the future of a kind of new technocratic genocide or
well, now look what's going to is it going to defertilize a generation or more?
They don't know yet. They don't know the consequences. You could have basically a whole generation that won't be able to have children.
Yeah, and that's
That
the
was
thing too, because Smiley Gates is a big depopulationist.
huge. He's been doing Depop stuff all over the world. I got a question for you, Keith. Do you think Orwell and the other author visionaries are just part of the predictive programming? Do you think that they're actually right, like you just said? I guess that's the question.
Well, I tell you what, I'll take two of foremost, I believe, and one is Orwell, and the other is Huxley. Now, with Orwell, there's a book out there called, oh man, Road to Airstrip One. I don't remember the author, but I tell you what was more interesting than the book, which was factual, was the notes, the end notes. Holy mackerel! He had MI5 and MI6 coming and visiting him like every week.
Wow.
So, and the other thing is also
Okay, we're live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Sorry about that.
Huxley is another one that they both were in London at a time when a lot of this stuff was major fare, like around 1909. You had Wells that was involved in this,
Right.
Darwin, Darwin's nephew, who's named Francis Galt, something like that.
Galton, yeah.
All right, and there was even a book that was published at that time that predicted World War III before there even was a World War One, and it had it in a showdown between what they call the American Empire, the Asian Empire, and Oceania, something like that. And this is written by Robert U. Benson, and I'm like, how could he tell this stuff? I mean, was that a guess, or was this stuff that was known to these people who might have been in some kind of group, if you will, and were laying all this out? So you had Europe being approached by the Asian army, which was China, and the only one that could stand in their way and protect Europe was the United States. And then it was Sir Halford Mackinder, who saw a third war, which he might have gotten off Darwin, rather. I always get the two names mixed up. Eric Blair.
Right.
So
Eric Blair was Orwell's.
Orwell, right? So because Benson had it in his book like a three-way fight, and that's what Blair had in his as well, in Orwell's. So I think, Orwell and Huxley were telling us the truth, but in different ways. I had somebody on once when Gordon was around to debate Huxley and Orwell, and there's more.
Yeah, you guys did a show. Huxley versus Orwell or something like that.
That's right. That's right. And everybody seems to like. Geez, why am I having a brain? Seems to like
Orwell over Huxley.
Yeah, Orwell over Huxley, because Huxley has that very high kind of noted voice. He comes off as being aristocracy, where Orwell was more like a usual being. So, but they both pretty much had the same idea of a world to come, and we certainly are seeing it. In fact, every time I watch the old Star Trek episode when Shatner was in there, and they had the Eloy.
Mm-hmm.
Remember they had 2 or 3 classes of people.
Right. They did a thing on H.G. Wells's Time Machine. They did a play on that, right? Eloy and Morgoth. I actually just talked about that in my last interview.
The Eli and Morlocks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morlocks. I think I called them more logs or something. Morlocks, that's right.
Morlocks. Yeah.
Sorry, I got the name wrong.
Yeah, they were the ones who did all the wet work. And they fed on the Eloy, I believe.
Right.
All right.
It's not much different than it is now. Things have not changed.
No, I especially would encourage folks to take a look and see if they can get their hands on The Road to Airstrip 1. Because I tell you what, man, I could not put that book down. It was excellent. I mean, everybody knows Huxley's stuff, but this is something on Orwell. And I'll send you the name. Well, if you do Google on that.
I'll Google it right now. I'll go to Amazon. Road to Airstrip 1. Road to Airstrip 1.
Yeah, I believe it's Canadian. I can't remember his last name. I wanted to get him on, but it didn't happen. So he still may be around.
Let's see if it pops up. Ian Slater?
That's it, Ian Slater.
Let's see if I can pull this up. Stop screen. Not a very, I wouldn't say it's a super popular book, but it's there. I was just talking about these books too. Like you can't find them. They're always really expensive.
All right, but don't forget too that there is archive.org.
Archives has a lot of these. That's true.
And they have a lot. I mean, you'll see them for sale everywhere, but they'll have them. And thankfully, their collection is expanding. But if you get a chance, take a look, throw a title in and see if it comes up. Then you don't have to pay anything. So with Airstrip 1, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, but don't you think that the sports is it's a distraction, and even some of these fights are the fights to distract people from maybe things that are more important? Do you ever think of that? Do you ever see it that way?
They're definitely an distraction, because if you can keep people all interested in sports and not taking a look around, yeah, without a doubt, that's what I mean. When it went entertainment, it really was used more and more, and the commercials are also very telling. For people who don't like sports, they have politics because they can watch everybody fighting. MSNBC and CNN. What a laugh!
Yeah, joke, total joke.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just part of it's actually a distraction within the distraction. So all the assumed racism or whatever is a distraction within a distraction. And I think Kaepernick's arguments fall flat. Like half of the NFL is black. So it's the opposite. It's actually, if you look at this population, equal population, it's unequal towards white people or whatever the terms are these days, non-African Americans.
Well,
NBA too. I want equity in the NBA.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, it's the same thing with crime. I mean, but it's another whole thing. I mean, there's 33% of Americans are black, and blacks.
I think the African American population of the United States is 14 or 15%.
That little, huh?
Yeah, that little. It's not that much. And there's Asians and other, but I mean, then now that's just the way they've lumped it together. They just have whites as being this one big blob when they used to have kind of broken down by ethnicity, but now everybody's just white, and it's very curious.
Well, I'm sure you notice this too. I guess this is as some kind of equity or a reach out to level the playing field. I mean, there ain't too many whites in the commercials anymore.
No, there's none. I want equity in commercials too. I want equity in the NBA and in commercials. 13% of the 15% of the population is African American descent. There should only be 15% in the ads. Period. I want to see some more. I want to see some more Arabic people, Asian people, different ethnicities of whites. I want to see the full white spectrum broken up into different so-called white ethnicities. I don't
Well,
want to be called white. I want to be called multi-ethnic. I'm actually multi-ethnic, so that's what I'd like to be called.
Tiger Williams said that like he was 11 things, and
Right.
the blacks got down on him for saying he wasn't,
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, well, he's not really. I think his mom is like from Thailand, and his dad isn't. I think his dad is Native American. He's part
Yeah.
Native American.
Yeah. I just, the thing about this is that it's a divider, and
Right, it's a divider.
we're in very dangerous times, and economically, and if we're going to have another war, it's going to be a real mess. As much as we say, we should all be united and such. Look, I mean, I'm a child from the late '60s. I believed it. I mean, I heard it, and then I saw it fade away. And now it's come around again, and it's going to fade away again because the plan is not for that to happen. So, truthfully, I said this before. Jesus Christ is the only way. That's all there is to it. Because
I agree with that.
it's going to be rough, and we're not going to duck any of this stuff.
Yeah,
So, God,
no, these are perilous times. Christ
are.
is the answer, no question. Yeah.
And I feel especially for the children, because they're going to be right smack dab in it.
It's a disaster.
I'll end by just saying that one thing that always stuck with me, there was a series called Victory at War. I think it was Victory at War. And it was all black and white footage that's just disappeared. Really gut-wrenching stuff. And I just remember one shot of a kid, his hair all tousled, had his radio overcoat on him, and he's standing in front of a pile of rubble. And I'm saying to myself, and I was like 7 or 8 at the time, and I was saying to myself, can you imagine living in Berlin when these guys come goose-stepping into town? I mean, they're not here to help. I just felt so bad because this is all they're going to know, and God knows if they ever did survive it. So
right, think about how many innocent people, civilians, got caught up in that political movement, and people who didn't want it, and people who were lied to, and people who were propagandized. So,
oh yeah, I mean,
it's a shame.
The collateral damage was far from collateral. I mean, the civilian war dead, you should go through it. You can find it on Wikipedia. It's quite staggering.
Millions and millions and millions and millions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me, we did that one show about Hitler and Crowley with Larry the Contractor. Yeah. So that's up on my site too. So it's around. Yeah. That was 10 years ago almost, probably. Yeah, but that's a great way. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up, Keith?
No, that's it. Sorry for not being on my A game, but I appreciate it.
It's all good. It's all, you know what? It's always great to have you. It's really a delight. And I have that 600 episodes of Vyzygoth's work really at the very beginning, for one of the earliest interviewers, him and Derek Gilbert. So people take advantage of going to look at those. It's under the Vyzygoth archives. You can find it on any podcast distributor, iTunes. Just type in the Vyzygoth archives and go get a listen. So, Vyzygoth, thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thanks a lot, William.
Take care. All right. Cheers.
You too.
Stay there.